June 25th, 2009. The world stopped. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was dead at 50. The announcement sent shockwaves across every continent. Fans gathered outside hospitals in Los Angeles, New York, London, Tokyo, Sydney, Paris, and countless other cities around the globe. News networks abandoned regular programming. Google's servers temporarily crashed under the weight of search queries from millions of people desperately trying to confirm what they had just heard. The grief was palpable, visceral, and universal. Yet, almost immediately, something strange began to happen. Even as the tears were still drying on people's faces, whispers started circulating online. The whispers grew into questions. The questions grew into theories. And 16 years later, those theories have not only survived, they have thrived. They have become a cultural phenomenon unto themselves, spawning countless YouTube videos, Reddit threads, TikTok compilations, and even academic studies examining why otherwise rational people continue to believe that the king of pop is still alive. Why do so many people refuse to believe Michael Jackson is really dead? The answer is not simple. It is a window into the human mind, the power of celebrity, the chaos of the internet age, and the uncomfortable truth that sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. It is also a story about grief, about the way we process loss, and about the lengths we will go to in order to avoid accepting the unacceptable. The Michael Jackson death conspiracy is not just about one man. It is about all of us and our complicated relationship with fame, mortality, and the stories we tell ourselves to make sense of a chaotic world. Why did the conspiracy theories start so quickly? The answer lies in the nature of Jackson's death itself. It was, from the very beginning, shrouded in ambiguity and controversy. Michael Jackson was preparing for one of the most anticipated comebacks in music history. The This Is It tour at London's O2 Arena was supposed to be his triumphant return. 50 shows, millions in ticket sales, a legacy to cement. When he died, just weeks before the opening night, the timing felt suspicious to many. The night before his death, Jackson had been rehearsing at the Staples Center. He was in high spirits, laughing with dancers, perfecting his choreography. Hours later, he was gone. The jarring transition from alive and working to dead was difficult for many to process. The human mind struggles with sudden, unexpected loss. For millions of fans who had invested decades in Jackson's music, the idea of his death was simply too painful to accept. When the death certificate was initially filed, it listed no cause of death. Then, in August 2009, it was amended to homicide, acute propofol intoxication from an intravenous injection administered by another person. The word homicide conjures images of murder, conspiracy, and foul play. For conspiracy theorists, this was validation. If a doctor killed Michael Jackson, who else might have been involved? Who benefited from his death? LaToya Jackson, Michael's sister, fueled these suspicions during a 2011 appearance on The View. She claimed that Michael had told her, "Boys, they're going to kill me." She alleged that people were after his publishing and recording catalogs, valued at $1.2 billion, and that someone else was in his house the day he died. While the Jackson estate dismissed her claims as outrageous and obviously false statements made for attention and money, the damage was done. The seed of doubt had been planted, and it grew into a sprawling conspiracy that continues to evolve. Another factor that fed the theory was the decision to hold a closed casket funeral. Jackson's family opted not to have an open viewing, which, for many fans, felt suspicious. Why wouldn't they show the body? Some conspiracy theorists speculated that there was no body to show, that Jackson was still alive and had faked his own death. Adding to the suspicion, reports emerged that Jackson's death certificate had been improperly accessed by Los Angeles County Coroner's Department staff in the days following his death. At least 6 employees viewed the document hundreds of times without authorization. To conspiracy theorists, this suggested a cover-up. To law enforcement, it was simply a breach of protocol fueled by morbid curiosity. But in the world of conspiracy theories, every unusual detail becomes evidence of something sinister. Every anomaly is a clue. Every coincidence is a connection. This pattern-seeking behavior is a fundamental part of human cognition, and it is precisely what makes conspiracy theories so compelling. The legal proceedings surrounding Jackson's death also contributed to the conspiracy ecosystem. The trial of Dr. Conrad Murray was a media spectacle that captivated the world. Murray was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in November 2011 and served approximately 2 years in prison. But for conspiracy theorists, the trial was just another piece of the puzzle. They argued that Murray was a scapegoat, that the real killers were still out there, and that the trial was designed to distract the public from the truth. The fact that Murray's conviction did not satisfy everyone's thirst for answers only deepened the suspicion. If the trial was so straightforward, why did so many people still have questions? Why did the story not feel complete? These questions, left unanswered, became the foundation upon which the conspiracy theory was built. So, what exactly do the conspiracy theorists believe? The theories have evolved over time, but they generally fall into several categories. The most common theory is that Jackson faked his death to escape the immense pressure of fame, his mounting debts, or a conspiracy to steal his music catalog. Proponents argue that Jackson was under enormous stress. The This Is It tour was physically demanding. He was reportedly carrying approximately $400 million in debt, or when the 2005 trial had taken an enormous toll on his health and reputation. Faking his death would allow him to disappear, live a normal life, and potentially reappear later. This theory gained traction immediately after his death. Within hours of the announcement, discussions on online forums and social media began suggesting that Jackson had orchestrated his own disappearance. The idea that a global superstar could simply vanish and live among ordinary people is both thrilling and reassuring. It suggests that even the most trapped individuals can find a way out. It also taps into a deep-seated human fantasy, the desire to escape the burdens of our lives and start over somewhere new. A darker theory holds that Jackson was murdered, not by his doctor alone, but by a larger conspiracy involving music executives, the Illuminati, or federal agents who wanted his lucrative music catalog. This theory was fueled by LaToya Jackson's allegations and by reports that Jackson had expressed fear for his life. Paris Jackson, Michael's daughter, also suggested in a 2017 interview that her father had been murdered. Proponents point to the value of Jackson's publishing and recording catalogs. Valued at $1.2 billion, they argue that powerful interests stood to profit from his death, and that his doctor, Conrad Murray, was simply a pawn in a larger conspiracy. This theory is particularly appealing because it offers a simple explanation for a complex event. It is easier to believe that a cabal of powerful people orchestrated Jackson's death than to accept that a single incompetent doctor made a catastrophic mistake. It is more comforting to think that there is a plan, a pattern, a purpose behind the tragedy, rather than to accept that sometimes things just happen. Over the years, there have been numerous alleged sightings of Jackson around the world. In 2026, a video of a man on a bus in Brazil with a striking resemblance to Jackson went viral. In 2025, there were claims that Jackson had been spotted wearing an afro wig in a Dubai shopping center. In 2017, a man resembling Jackson was reportedly seen at his nephew's wedding. These sightings are often debunked as cases of mistaken identity, lookalikes, or increasingly AI-generated content. The 2026 bus video, for example, was traced to an Instagram account that explicitly presents itself as an AI content creator, and detection tools estimated a 94.2% probability that the video was of synthesized origin. But the damage is done. Once a video or image is shared, it spreads faster than the correction. By the time fact-checkers have weighed in, the video has already been viewed millions of times, and for many, the sighting is proof that Jackson is still alive. The corrections never quite catch up to the original misinformation, and the belief persists. One of the more creative theories involves the 1989 music video for Liberian Girl. The video features dozens of celebrities appearing one by one, only to reveal at the end that they have been watching Jackson perform in a studio. At the very end, Jackson appears and says, "I'm going to get you all." Conspiracy theorists argue that Jackson's death was a setup for an elaborate comeback, and that the final reveal is still coming. When his children gather at his funeral, the theory goes, one of them will reveal that it was all a ruse. This theory is obviously far-fetched. But it persists because it offers a narrative arc that is far more satisfying than the reality of a tragic overdose. It also draws on Jackson's own persona as a master of illusion and spectacle. Jackson was, after all, a man who spent his entire career creating magic, defying expectations, and blurring the line between reality and fantasy. It is not a stretch to imagine that he might have orchestrated one final, spectacular illusion. Another theory holds that Jackson appeared on Larry King Live disguised as Dave, a burn victim who had been attacked by his father as a child. Conspiracy theorists pointed to similarities in their eyes and mannerisms. The claim was absurd. Dave had been a public figure for decades, but it spread widely online. This is a classic example of confirmation bias in action. Once people believe something, they see evidence for it everywhere. They ignore the obvious facts, that Dave had a different voice, a different history, a completely different life, and focus instead on a few superficial similarities. The theory lives on because it feeds a narrative that is more exciting than the truth. There's also the theory that Jackson is alive and living in Sean Diddy Combs' mansion. In 2024, a new theory emerged, linking Jackson's death to the legal troubles of rapper Sean Diddy Combs. TikTok users claimed that the FBI had reopened Jackson's death case and that Diddy had a secret tunnel connecting his mansion to Jackson's residence. These claims were quickly debunked by fact-checkers who confirmed that no such tunnel exists and that the FBI had not reopened the case. The theory also claimed that Beyoncé had proof that Diddy was hiding Michael Jackson in his mansion. This claim was rated pants on fire by PolitiFact. But the fact that such a theory could gain traction speaks to the power of social media to amplify misinformation, especially when it involves high-profile celebrities. In the attention economy, the truth is often less valuable than a compelling story, and a story that connects multiple celebrities in a web of intrigue is almost irresistible. Despite the persistent theories, the evidence that Michael Jackson died on June 25, 2009 is overwhelming. On June 26, 2009, the Los Angeles County coroner performed an autopsy on Michael Jackson. The results were conclusive. He died from acute propofol intoxication, with additional contributions from benzodiazepines. The drug had been administered by his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, who was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The autopsy also painted a grim picture of Jackson's physical condition. He weighed just 136 pounds. His stomach contained partially dissolved pills, suggesting he had been subsisting on minimal food while relying heavily on medication. There were puncture marks across his arms, my shoulders, thighs, and hips from repeated injections. He had visible scars from years of cosmetic surgery. His lips and eyebrows had been tattooed. Much of his scalp was scarred and bald, with tattoos to match his hairline. He had vitiligo, the skin condition he had discussed publicly. The autopsy report is a detailed medical document, not a piece of fiction. It describes the specific condition of Jackson's organs and the fatal levels of drugs in his system. It is the kind of document that cannot be faked without the cooperation of dozens of medical professionals, a conspiracy that would be virtually impossible to maintain. Jackson's death certificate was issued by the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. It lists his date of death as June 25, 2009, and the cause of death as acute propofol intoxication, with the manner of death ruled homicide. It also confirms that Jackson was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. The death certificate, like the autopsy report, is an official government document. Conspiracy theorists have argued that the certificate was falsified, but there is no evidence to support this claim. The improper access of the document by coroner's staff did not alter its authenticity. In November 2011, Dr. Conrad Murray was convicted of involuntary manslaughter for his role in Jackson's death. He served approximately 2 years in prison. The trial was a public spectacle, with testimony from medical experts, law enforcement officials, and witnesses. The prosecution presented a detailed case, including phone records, pharmacy receipts, and forensic evidence that demonstrated Murray's negligence. If Jackson were still alive, Murray's conviction would have required a massive conspiracy involving the entire legal system, from the police to the prosecutors to the jurors. It is simply not plausible. The Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, was involved in the investigation into Jackson's death. In August 2009, the DEA, along with the California Department of Justice, Bureau of Narcotics Enforcement, initiated independent investigations into matters uncovered by the Los Angeles Police Department. This is not the behavior of a cover-up, it is the behavior of a serious law enforcement investigation. Hundreds of people witnessed Jackson's death, including his personal physician, his security team, paramedics, and hospital staff. The paramedics who arrived at Jackson's Holmby Hills home found him in cardiac arrest. Despite performing CPR and administering advanced cardiac life support, they could not revive him. He was pronounced dead at UCLA Medical Center. The idea that hundreds of people would be complicit in a hoax and that none of them would have leaked the truth is nearly impossible. The media has played a significant role in both fueling and debunking the conspiracy theories. In August 2009, German broadcaster RTL aired a video purportedly showing Michael Jackson emerging from a coroner's van. The video went viral and was widely shared as proof that Jackson was still alive. However, RTL later revealed that the video was an experiment designed to demonstrate how quickly misinformation can spread online. The man in the video was an actor, and the whole thing was staged. The irony was lost on many. The video had already done its damage. The conspiracy theory had been seeded, and no correction could completely uproot it. In 2009, a man named Dave appeared on Larry King Live. Dave was a burn victim who had been attacked by his father as a child. Some conspiracy theorists claimed that Dave was actually Michael Jackson in disguise, pointing to similarities in their eyes and mannerisms. The claim was absurd. Dave had been a public figure for decades, but it spread widely online. In 2026, a video of a man on a bus in Brazil with a striking resemblance to Jackson went viral. The video was traced to an Instagram account that explicitly presents itself as an AI content creator, and detection tools estimated a 94.2% probability that the video was AI generated. But again, the video spread faster than the correction, and for many, the sighting was proof that Jackson was still alive. In 2024, a new theory emerged, linking Jackson's death to the legal troubles of rapper Sean Diddy Combs. TikTok users claimed that the FBI had reopened Jackson's death case and that Diddy had a secret tunnel connecting his mansion to Jackson's residence. These claims were quickly debunked by fact-checkers who confirmed that no such tunnel exists, and that the FBI had not reopened the case. The theory also claimed that Beyoncé had proof that Diddy was hiding Michael Jackson in his mansion. This claim was rated pants on fire by PolitiFact. But the fact that such a theory could gain traction speaks to the power of social media to amplify misinformation, especially when it involves high-profile celebrities. The algorithms that power these platforms favor engagement over accuracy, and nothing drives engagement like a juicy conspiracy theory. Why do people believe these theories? The psychology is complex, but several factors are at play. The most powerful driver is grief. For millions of fans, Jackson was not just an entertainer. He was a constant presence in their lives. His music was the soundtrack to their memories. His death was a profound loss that many could not accept. Denial is a common stage of grief, and conspiracy theories offer a way to hold on to the hope that the person is still alive. The human brain is wired to seek patterns, even where none exist. In the chaos of Jackson's death, people looked for hidden meanings and connections. The clues in the This Is It movie, the timing of his death, the closed casket, all of these were interpreted as evidence of a larger plan. This pattern-seeking behavior is a fundamental part of human cognition, and conspiracy theories exploit it. Conspiracy theories flourish when trust in institutions is low. In the United States, trust in government, law enforcement, and the media has declined significantly over the past several decades. This erosion of trust makes people more susceptible to alternative narratives, especially when those narratives offer simple explanations for complex events. Many people today are skeptical of official narratives, and Jackson's death was no exception. Once a person begins to believe in a theory, they are likely to seek out evidence that confirms it and ignore evidence that contradicts it. This is known as confirmation bias. The internet has made it easier than ever to find communities of like-minded believers, creating echo chambers where conspiracy theories are reinforced and become part of a shared identity. There are entire websites and YouTube channels dedicated to the Michael Jackson is alive theory, and they continue to produce content that fuels the belief. Finally, conspiracy theories are simply more interesting than the truth. The truth, that a beloved entertainer died from a tragic medical error, is sad, but it is also mundane. The theory that he faked his death to escape a powerful conspiracy is a story of intrigue, adventure, and triumph. It offers a narrative arc that is far more compelling than the reality of a tragic overdose. As one theorist noted, this is the most popular theory of all, for it is the most interesting. In the 2020s, the conspiracy theory has evolved, fueled by new technologies and new cultural trends. The rise of AI-generated content has added a new dimension to the conspiracy theory. As seen with the 2026 bus video, AI can now create incredibly realistic videos of people who are long dead, making it easier than ever to prove that Jackson is still alive. Fact-checkers and investigators are struggling to keep up with the technology. As one analysis notes, the eye is no longer enough to establish the truth. Oh, and the real defense lies in traceability and verifying the origin of files. The upcoming Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, has also contributed to the renewed interest in his life and death. The anticipation for the film, combined with the nostalgia for his music, has driven social media algorithms to favor content related to him, including conspiracy theories. So, why don't people believe Michael Jackson is really dead? The answer is not simple. It is a combination of grief, denial, the human tendency to seek patterns, the mistrust of authority, and the alluring power of a good story. It is also a reflection of our modern media environment, where misinformation can spread faster than the truth. The evidence that Michael Jackson died on June 25, 2009 is overwhelming. The autopsy report, the death certificate, the conviction of Dr. Conrad Murray, the involvement of the DEA, and the testimony of hundreds of witnesses all point to the same conclusion. Michael Jackson is dead. But for millions of people, the evidence is not enough. They need to believe he's alive because the alternative is too painful. They need to believe that there is more to the story because the truth is too mundane. They need to believe that the world's biggest conspiracy is hiding the king of pop because it is easier than accepting the sadness of a life cut short. In the end, the conspiracy theory is not about Michael Jackson at all. It is about us. It is about our need for meaning in a chaotic world. It is about our refusal to accept that sometimes things just happen. It is about our hope that even in death, our heroes can live on. The conspiracy theory that Michael Jackson faked his death is a testament to his extraordinary impact on the world. It is a reflection of the love and devotion he inspired in millions of fans. But it is also a product of the modern media landscape, where misinformation can spread faster than the truth, and where trust in authority is at an all-time low. Michael Jackson's body is buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. His death certificate is on file. His doctor was convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The evidence is there for anyone to see. But in the hearts and minds of millions, Michael Jackson will always be alive. His music will continue to play. His dance moves will continue to inspire. His legacy will continue to grow, and the conspiracy theories will continue to thrive. The king of pop is dead. Long live the king. The phenomenon of celebrity death conspiracies is not unique to Michael Jackson. Elvis Presley, Tupac Shakur, Kurt Cobain, and many others have been the subjects of similar theories, but none have been as persistent or as widespread as the ones surrounding Jackson. There is something about his death that has struck a chord with the public imagination in a way that few others have. Perhaps it is the sheer scale of his fame. Perhaps it is the dramatic nature of his life. Perhaps it is the fact that he was the last of a kind, a true icon whose like we will never see again. Whatever the reason, the belief that he is alive has become a cultural phenomenon in its own right. The rise of social media has given these theories a new lease on life. Platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and X allow anyone to share their theories with a global audience. The algorithms that power these platforms are designed to keep users engaged, and nothing keeps users engaged like a good conspiracy theory. As a result, the Michael Jackson is alive theory has found a new audience among younger generations who were too young to remember his death firsthand. For them, it is not a matter of grief, but of curiosity. They are drawn to the mystery, the intrigue, the idea that there is more to the story than meets the eye. The upcoming biopic will only add to this phenomenon. As anticipation for the film builds, so too will interest in Jackson's life and death. Conspiracy theorists will be given a new platform to share their ideas. Fans will be reminded of what they lost, and the debate over what really happened will continue. In a way, it is fitting that Jackson's legacy should be marked by such controversy. He was a man who defied easy categorization, who existed at the intersection of genius and madness, of joy and pain. His death was as complicated as his life. The truth about Michael Jackson's death is simple. But it is also sad. He was a man who had been broken by the forces that made him. He was surrounded by people who failed to protect him. He died because of a combination of medical negligence, financial pressure, and his own desperation for rest. It is not a story of conspiracy and intrigue. It is a story of tragedy, of a man who was consumed by the very machine he helped create. To accept that truth is to accept the reality of his life and death, with all its complexity and sadness. It is to honor his memory by learning from his mistakes, rather than by creating fantasies about his survival. The King of Pop is dead, but the man, the myth, the legend will never truly die. He lives on in the music that continues to touch millions of hearts. He lives on in the memories of those who loved him. He lives on in the conspiracy theories that keep his name alive. And perhaps, in some strange way, that is exactly what he would have wanted. To be remembered, to be talked about, to be impossible to forget. In that sense, his death has only added to his legend. The mystery surrounding it has made him even more fascinating, even more larger than life. And that, perhaps, is the greatest tribute of all. The persistence of the conspiracy theory is a testament to Jackson's extraordinary impact on the world. It is a reflection of the love and devotion he inspired in millions of fans. But it is also a product of the modern media landscape, where misinformation can spread faster than the truth, and where trust in authority is at an all-time low. The story of Michael Jackson is one of extraordinary triumphs and profound tragedies. He was a genius who revolutionized popular music. He was also a deeply troubled individual who struggled with fame, addiction, and personal demons. His death was a tragedy that could have been prevented. It was the result of medical negligence, greed, and the immense pressures of celebrity. To believe he faked his death is to deny the reality of his struggles and the responsibility of those who failed him. It is to turn a cautionary tale into a fairy tale. It is to ignore the lessons that his life and death have to teach us about fame, mental health, and the dangers of unchecked power. The evidence is there for anyone to see. The autopsy report is a public document. The death certificate is on file. The trial of Dr. Conrad Murray was a matter of public record. The witnesses are real people who testified under oath. The conspiracy theory is built on a foundation of speculation, misinterpretation, and wishful thinking. It is a story that people tell themselves because the truth is too hard to accept. But the truth does not change because we refuse to believe it. The King of Pop is dead. Long live the King. His music will continue to inspire, his legacy will continue to grow, and the conspiracy theories will continue to thrive because the truth is too simple, too sad, and too final. And sometimes we need to believe in something more. We need to believe that our heroes are special, that they are not subject to the same fate as the rest of us. We need to believe that there is a grand plan, a hidden purpose, a secret that only we are clever enough to uncover. It is this need that keeps the legend of Michael Jackson alive long after his body has turned to dust.